What up, though? Welcome to another episode of What's Up, Cuzzo podcast with your two favorite cousins. We out here. We got Melly in the building,
What it do?
man. And then we got your boy. Oh, wrong one. There we go. All right. Yeah, so we had some things we had to handle on the back end. We want to make sure that we're on time though. So anyway, what's up with you, Cuzzo?
You know what it is. Another day in the life. I can't complain. It's Friday. We made it to another one, so we must be doing something right. That's what I say. But
Yeah.
we'll see what's happening. What's good with you?
Well, I was gonna ask you before I jump in. Are you feeling any kind of way this Friday? Is it, I know some Fridays was fantastic, fabulous. Uh,
Mm, it's a for show Friday. I do know that. That's what's on the calendar.
Show Friday. Okay,
It's a for
it
show
is for
Friday.
Show Friday. It
Right.
is for Show Friday. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But yeah, I'm doing well, man. It was a um pretty good week, I should say, for the most part. Um,
How did
yeah.
Monday start off for you? Was Monday good?
Yeah, Monday started off good, man. Yeah, got up,
Right.
went to work and, you
Right.
know, handle my business, as I should.
At
I
least, at
don't
least
know,
you
I don't
handled
know,
your business.
I don't know anything in particular what you try to say. Yeah,
I'm just saying. I'm just
Monday
saying.
started off fantastic for me. I'll just say that.
Gotcha. All right.
Yeah, yeah. So what you trying to say, man? Go ahead and say it. What are
I'm,
you trying to say? What happened
I'm,
Monday that you want to get off your chest?
I'm just checking on you, man. Monday happened, started off good,. But it didn't end well.
It
Not
ended well. It ended well. Yeah.
it did it.
Yeah,
All right. Okay.
I don't know what you're trying to say, man. I'm just trying to figure
Listen,
out. You sound
I
like you
was,
beating around the bush or something. I'm just trying to figure out.
I'm just checking on you. That's all. As your cousin, man. I'm just checking
Oh,
on you.
okay.
Right.
Well, I appreciate it. If you're not gonna say it, then we're gonna move on. I understand. I understand. I know Green Bay did pretty good. I think they, had a good game. Since I think that's what you're trying to say. My Raiders didn't win. We could go ahead and get it out there. They didn't win. Yes, I understand. Yeah, it happens.
Oh, I didn't even know. My bad.
So we started off winning, and y'all just caught up. That's all it is. And
Mm,
like you said, we got the same record.
mm-hmm. Mm.
But it's not how you start. Sometimes it's how you finish. So we'll see. We'll see how things are at the finish line.
We know how they're gonna be at the finish
But
line.
well,
All right.
well, I mean, usually it ends up with us both sitting on the couch together watching the Super Bowl.
That's what we do anyway, right? Because I don't play in the game.
Well, I'm just saying. Well, our prospective teams sitting on the couch, watching Super Bowl, or they might be in attendance in the, not necessarily playing in the game. They're not doing no warming up or nothing like that. They want, maybe warming up their seats because it might be chilly depending on where the Super Bowl is at.
Definitely, and some sit longer than others, so they got to get up and stretch. They've been sitting
Nah,
there a
man,
while.
we got comfortable in the seat, made sure it was nice and warm for a little while, and here to welcome the other people who, come later on, welcome, we've been waiting on you,
Right,
to get here. But we'll see.
we got it.
We'll see how it works out.
We
So
got it.
anyway, on to the more important things, uh things have happened.
And always things will continue to happen.
They definitely will, man. Episode 38. Man, we got Dame Dash. She won the Breakfast Club and cooked up. So we're gonna talk about that. Then we're gonna talk about a few things that went on in the world. We talked about some things last week, but responses to uh Charlie Kirk, and we have some people getting canceled. We'll talk about that as well. And then we have some mysterious things happening in Mississippi. We had a student found hanging in Mississippi. And then we found out here, well, they found, not we, but there was a body found in a Tesla in Hollywood, and there's more detail as it relates to that. So, you know what? Breakfast is the first meal of the day. So we're gonna go ahead and see what Dame had to cook up. And cause if you had another, here we go. Okay. Hopefully I don't have to sign out. Yeah, we do that later. Let me see if it'll let me do it. Can you see that? Yeah. All right. Let me do this. I'm not gonna play the video. I'm gonna just do the audio. And if there's another point in this that you want us to, stop it or fast forward to, then I will. All right.
Yep.
For 10 years. They sued me for over $500 million combined, and they only won $800,000 combined. They've been chasing that for 10 years. You know how much legal and law work that person's been doing, how much plotting he's been doing to collect that money, and he never collected. You know how mad he is right now? Now he doesn't get paid. So, of course, he's going to do that. But again, this is part of business. Just put your seatbelt on and watch how it plays out. But I've never filed before. Nothing. The reason why they think it's fraudulent, this is why I have to tell you this. You see how he's saying it's fraudulent? He'll go into the court and say I'm rich because he's trying to collect money. I've been telling y'all I was broke, right? Mm-hmm. So that's the reason why. So I don't know what happened. If let's say everything doesn't.
Wait, why are you using Monday.com? It's not for developers. Oh, this.
Go. Nothing's still in my name. There's still nothing to collect. Okay, let me ask you this. Do you know how many times Donald Trump filed?
Oh, a lot.
Yeah. So then why is
but he's known as a terrible businessman. But no, he's not.
He's the president.
Yeah, but sure, but he still was known as a terrible businessman, actually a con man.
Do you know how confidently dumb you sound? You're saying it's bad that he went bankrupt 6 times. He's a billionaire and he's the president,
but
and you still not
a terrible businessman and con artist.
Are you known as a good businessman?
I don't know.
Okay? Well, you make a lot of money.
No.
So you've been doing this every day your whole life, and you're not making no money?
Nope.
And
you Dan?
So, no, you're not like me.
What you mean? You say you don't have?
Do you have a family office? I bet my house is bigger than yours. I bet all my houses are bigger than you. I bet I have a better.
How old are you, man?
Now it's how old are you?
This is embarrassing.
You're embarrassed. Yeah, because
come on, Dan.
I got you. I bet I'd like to see your view. Can you show me your view right now? Do you live in front of water?
View of my house?
Yeah. A view of what you see when you relax, when you're not here every day. See, when you're in it, let me just finish. Let me just see your view. When you just now said, let's just go back to how ridiculous you are. The president filed for bankruptcy 8 times, still a billionaire. He's saying he's a bad businessman. You're just not that smart.
Okay.
And you have to acknowledge that. And you know why? You're not seeing the world. You know what happens when you have to go someplace? You're laughing. You know what happens when you have to go someplace every day at 4 a.m? You can't go nowhere. You got to be here every day. You've been 15 years. You've missed the whole world. You don't know what you're talking about. And you're saying it confidently. And you're in an algorithm where people actually believe you out of response. And why you think they keep you here? They want y'all to make us dumb.
But if you worked here, you would.
I would never work here. I would only
$20 million in debt.
What you talking about? I'm not in debt. Okay, stop right there. Stop right there. I'm not in debt at all now. What are you talking about?
Oh, you paid it all off?
When you have this bankruptcy 7 is like getting hit by the cartel with 100 bricks and they die and you don't owe no more. I want you to ask someone this is what you should do if you want to do something smart. Get a specialist, a lawyer in bankruptcy, and you ask them these questions. Get a professional up here, and then they'll tell you. Why ask me? You know what I'm saying? And then when he tells you you're dumb, you'll believe him. Anyway, the difference between you and I, well, I don't think you're a proper representation of the masculine black man. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you guys are.
I'm listening. Okay.
Like, your OG is Wendy Williams. My OG is sitting right here. You see him?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm gonna tell you why he's my OG. Because he killed anybody or any of those things. He just taught me how to be a better man.
Wendy's not my OG.
Can you
That's
stop?
funny, though.
Can you stop?
Wendy Williams is your OG.
Wasn't she your boss?
Yeah, at one point.
So she was your OG. She put you on, and you should give her grace, and you should also give her props out of respect.
Oh, I know.
But because we have different trauma, like we're different. Like I'm not the kind of guy that would like. I'd rather get my ass whipped than run. But you're proud that you ran.
Yeah.
I'd rather get my ass whipped. Let me ask you a question, Dan. You ever ran from a fight? What would happen if y'all heard that I ran from a fight? That's a masculine way of doing things. Now you don't see it that way. You like to play like games. Like I'm not quite, because when you say kids, I was like, and
I'm gonna stop it right there. I think he's starting to go into other things, but Cuzzo.
This is entertainment, baby. It's what the people want.
Yeah. I'm glad you said that. Because it made me think of the other topic. But yeah, man, I think that Dame Dash, I don't know if he really exposed them, but for those people who were actually listening and paying attention and had an open mind to hear what he actually had to say, like he showed a lot of what we have in this this world today. We have people who are put up there as props as to spread, lies and propaganda and spin a certain narrative so that people will believe things that aren't really true. Like there's ways on how the game is played in a lot of different areas. And for him to say like Donald Trump is a bad businessman, yeah, I mean, I guess some could see it as that, but he's still a billionaire. You know what I mean? For you to try to diminish, Dame Dash, yeah, we heard stuff in the media, what's going on, like he's broke and, he had the incident where his teeth fell out, and things like that, which is funny, which what people like to see. And they like to see dysfunction. They like to see, drama and stuff like that. But to actually, if you actually listen, he's giving us game. Like there's ways to get around and move in certain areas. And guess what? You're not gonna believe me because you look at me a certain way, or maybe you want to people to portray or continually have me look a certain way. But I'm trying to give you game right here. Yeah, you may have I'm broke, but talk to somebody else who specializes in this, this area. Like, no, I'm not broke. I maneuvered the right way, got the right people to handle my business, my affairs for me. And yeah, like they're gonna be trying to get this money that you say that I don't have, but they're not gonna get it. And back to the other part though, it's unfortunate that people watch this show or listen to this show, and to have these two dudes on here, that are very disingenuous in their communication to people. And he kind of like, put a spotlight on that. Yeah, like I understand you laughing, you trying to make me look bad. But this is the real place. This is what it really is. This is what people really need to listen to. This is what, people need to hear. People need to learn how to be, and this is the word of the day. Remember Pee Wee Herman?
Mm-hmm.
What's the word of the day? Ah! Yeah, so the the word is being objective. Sometimes sometimes people agree with a side just because that side has all, they follow that side. Like, it may not be political. It may just be somebody you believe and trust in. And because they say something, you take it as law. But like even the pastor gets up there and he might say something, and people, most people won't challenge it, and it may be totally off. And so we need to start questioning certain things, questioning some people's motives. Why are they saying this? Does it really make sense what they're saying? Who are the people that they're trying to get this message out to, or is this message a message that excuse me, a message that shouldn't be forgive me, train of thought. But yeah, maybe this is the message that has been given to them to paint us to spin a certain thing. And so we need to be careful with that. Like the election, like what's crazy is that he was pushing for a certain person to get voted into office. And then like he was on other shows where he agreed in certain instances where that person wasn't fit. But why are you promoting this person to be, the leader of the free world if you don't believe like they're unfit? Just because they were born to agree with this certain side, and because this is what they've grown up to believe in. They haven't changed their thought process. They haven't learned to be objective. They haven't said like these things don't align with me. And this is kind of like what Damon's saying, like get the knowledge, like you don't have it. Like I'm trying to tell you what it is, and why what you heard about me or what you're trying to say about me is a lie. And so I digress. You jump in, cuz what do you think about what was said?
Yeah, what you're saying is definitely true in a lot of ways. Looking at the context of the conversation, this is entertainment. This is a talk show radio type thing, and just the energy being used, it's being looked at in a way to where this is a joke. This guy's a clown, Just the energy coming from the other people, which is DJ Envy and Charlamagne. And it's just kind of like they play, freaking frack, and they play off each other, in terms of this individual, because they look at Damon Dash as, yeah, he's done this, he's accomplished, he's done that. Of course, he's successful, but then it's kind of like they don't give him the same respect as they would give a politician, that comes in there from a certain party that they agree with, or they don't give him the same respect, that they look at or revere, or whoever, This individual has been through some things, is going through some things, has made it through, and he's coming back to bring you information on what's going to help you and allow other people to, help themselves, go through this process. If you're looking to do business and you're doing business and you fall and you have to get yourself out of it, this is an opportunity in a way that you can do it, by asking these questions, instead of asking them, okay, so what are some of these questions? It's just like a go back and forth, calling you names, you're this, aren't you doing that? It's just kind of like, this is high school stuff. And it's like for you to, like you were saying, for people to watch this, you're dumbing people down. You're not giving anybody any relevant information, because that's what your boss tells you to do. And he tells it right to your face. He knows what it is. And he can come there and say that all day because it's allowed and nobody's going to listen. Everybody's going to frame him from the perspective that they want, that radio station to see him through. That's why they allow him up there. That's why they allow so many other ones they find entertaining, the Dr. Umars of the world, or, whoever else that they have on that station. And they'll have certain ones on there over and over and over because they know they only bring a level of entertainment that they can bypass, as entertainment. None of this information is true. We can't prove it. and it's allowed. So again, he asks a question, and the first thing you can do is jump to an insult. Well, he's a bad businessman. Never mind, he's a bad businessman, but he's a billionaire now. So obviously, he did something to get through that, to still get to the other side and still become successful. So of course, you want to say if he filed bankruptcy 6 or 7 times, he's a bad businessman. That's not what that means. If you knew the perspectives, if you knew, P&L statements, if you knew, some of these business terminologies, which I'm sure he's familiar with it, or he may not be familiar with it. I don't know. But I'm just saying these are some of the things that people need to be aware of and people need to know, instead of all this sensationalism that we're doing, calling each other names and laughing at each other's shortcomings and downfall, because that doesn't help anybody but the people that own the stations, that own, the businesses that profit off of that type of activity. So yeah, of course, Damon, he's a little eccentric, he's a little egotistical in certain ways, but who's not? Most of these billionaires are, or multimillionaires are. They have to be, in order for them to get to a certain level in this capitalistic society. And if it's not about if it's right or wrong, if it's not about who's doing it and who's not doing it, it's not about who deserves it and who doesn't deserve it. It's about what's happening in front of your eyes. And if you're seeking to pull yourself up to a certain level, there are certain rules that you have to learn how to play by. If you don't have the information, you have to go to who has the information. Like he said, he had his OG right there behind him. That's who taught me about business. So that's why I roll with him. I'm going to roll with whoever teaches me how to be successful, so I can give my family more opportunities, to succeed in life, to experience in life. As he said before, you don't have very many experiences because you're here at 4 a.m. That's true. If I didn't have to be at work 5 days a week, yeah, I'm looking to travel more, because that gives you more experiences on how to live your life better.
That's fine.
If you're just working, if you're just focusing on 9 to 5, I got to pay this bill, I got to pay that bill, you're not looking to enrich your life. You're looking just to survive. So getting outside of that survival mode, you start to think about certain upper echelons of how to truly live a life, not surviving. And that's what he's, seeking for people to understand. And he's willing to allow his life to be an example, I think. Yes, I made this move, I made that move. This is how I feel. This is the way I see it. So I failed, and this is how I get myself out of it. So this is where I'm at today because I did this. Oh, okay, so you did that. So what made you do this? How did you do that? What are the steps? Instead of asking these questions, it could be in an entertaining way, but it's like we're going tit for tat. We're going back. We're playing dozens. And I understand why Damon is calling him what he's calling him, because he knows the truth about this guy. And he can't do anything to him. So I'm going to tell you to your face who I know who you are. And the other guy on the other side too, DJ Envy. We know you too. I know you too. You acting like a boss and you're not a boss. You have a boss. That's what he's trying to tell people. And people will just stand on that to the end of the day. It's like, okay, whatever you say. Okay, whatever you say. That's a defensive move. I get it. But life is chess. And if you're getting all your pieces taken, you can't sit up there and stand strong and hold on to your pieces because you're getting them taken. So you can say what you want to say all day. I digress.
The chess master.
There we go.
That's what's up. Yeah, man. As you start to look at, just life and be more present, you start to see and realize things that are going on, that they try to, play, like people say now, playing in my face, they've been doing it for years, and, it is what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully, we could figure things out and pay more attention to what's going on. Like even some of the topics we talked about last week. People like to clip things up for entertainment. People like to spew certain things for talking points or things for entertainment. And then when you actually get the context of what's really going on, you start to see like, oh, okay, like they didn't say what they said, what you said they said, or that clip is there's no context for this clip. So now I see their full thought and what they were trying to say. And now I understand, like, okay, yeah, this is what really was being said, and it's kind of true, not just kind of true, but it is true, true statement. So, yeah, man, we got a few other things to go. Unless you have something else you wanted to, I know you said you digress.
Well,
you said
yeah,
there you go.
I know we usually say that at the end of the show, but in all things, get understanding. That's all I gotta say.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So on to the next topic. Actually, while you was talking about that, you talked about entertainment, and I think we kind of briefly had a conversation about this. I'm just gonna play the audio again because I know they have a sponsor up here, and I don't know if that could be cause any issues for our lonely video. You know what I'm saying?
We're not getting sponsored, so yeah, we don't want to play stuff. Yeah,
right. So
exactly.
so I'm gonna go ahead and play this. We have
Show me the money.
Adrian Broner pulled up to Cam and Mace's show, and things got interesting. I'll say that.
So good in person.
Thank you.
But you look so good in person.
Thank you.
For
I
real.
appreciate that.
Hey, what you wasted that? I love you. What a guy. I'm sorry. My bad, y'all. My bad.
Arabia, is that a real background?
Hey, Stat, could you stop
Yes.
smiling? Can you stop smiling? You
Arabia is
Nah, yo, bro, some G, yo, bro, some G shit. We gotta. I have boyfriend here, yo.
Oh, shit.
I told you that.
My bad.
Nah, like it's all like. Okay, we can move on to football then.
Stat. Oh my God.
Yo, Stat, let's do the football. I guess that answered the question about Floyd. When I see you taking off some time,
I'm mesmerized by Stat.
This nigga here, bro.
I did not know you looked that good in person. My bad, bro. You're amazing.
All right, hey, we gonna have to actually go, my nigga. I mean, I have to actually go, man. I'm gonna pay you for your time, for being here. I appreciate you. I told you that.
I'm not, though. I'm not.
Nah, I told you niggas boyfriends are here. You know when my brother
shit,
know that.
my bad, bro. My bad.
Nah. You want to wait for me? You could, but I appreciate it, bro. You gotta jump out. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah. So what you think?
Yeah, that's clown antics, man. And I think it was a clip, that they showed. He was talking about it, and basically he brought him up there. He already knew dude was on one, drinking a lot on whatever, and it's kind of like that brought him up there for entertainment. To me, that's exploitation right there. And then you put your
Yeah, just keep going.
Yeah, you put your associate producer, in jeopardy because you are looking to get views or whatever. And if you guys all talked about it before, and you guys all agreed, I get it. But to me, watching that, it's uncomfortable because it's kind of like, I'm not an expert, but I could see he was under the influence, and it was just like, that's not really, tasteful commentary, in my opinion. But as our podcast, we're just a lowly podcast, and I humbly have that opinion. It's like, yeah, I'm glad he got him out of there. How he got him out of there, respect. I'll still pay you for your time, but there's no room for that. Like he was telling, hey, bro, I was telling you, her boyfriend over here, he always watched the show, so I already told you that. Like that, we can't do that. That's disrespectful, you know. So that part is good, but it's unfortunate that he even had to come to that.
Right. Yeah, I think that um it was bad. You know, I seen, you know, Adrian Bronner pop up here and there in different places, and I don't really know like his full life, you know, but I know he's, you know, kind of fell from grace. I know that's one thing. Like he was a very promising boxer. And apparently like he like Cam is his boy, right? And to, you know, kind of like what you said, you know, to bring your boy up there or somebody who claims to be, you know, a friend or, you know, and they know that you're like that. I think that's wrong. You know, it was kind of bad that, you know, he used this man. Man, you can imagine, you know, how much this has been clipped up. And like I kind of said in the other part, you know, when we're talking about Dame Dash, is that people like dysfunction. They like people that's fighting. They like people who, you know, who are over sexualized. They like people who, you know, like there's a lot of different things that people like to see, and this is one of them. You know, and you have to think about like, you know, what was his real intentions of having him up there. You seen his state. Do you think he could really have a good, you know, intellectual conversation or even, you know, just a good regular conversation um at the state he's in? You know, you obviously tells that you could tell that he's intoxicated, like or under influence of something. And I don't know if you saw like there's another part of the video like after he kicks him off, he says, you know, like, you know, I just brought your ass on here for, you know, for entertainment and for, you know, clicks and views, pretty much. And I don't, yeah, that's pretty wild. I don't really watch Cam and Mace's show that much. You know, I usually, you know, kind of see like clips and things like that. But you know, I know they're kind of, you know, big in their respective lane. And I don't know, man. I think it's bad that he did that. That he brought him there, you know, like that. I mean, I've been intoxicated before, and I know what's going on, you know. But guess what? What's the phrase they say? A drunk mind speaks to sober thoughts, or something like that. And so, like, hey, like, and I know, you know, when I've been in the club and you know had a drink or two, you know, I turn into pimping Don Magic Wand. You know what I'm saying? Well, I'm trying to holler at everything. You know, so he seen, you know, what he thought was a attractive young lady. I mean, she, you know, yeah. And so he was trying to holler. Don't you hear me trying to holler at you? You know, like, hey, holla, hey, I don't care really what you trying to say to me, Cam. Like, I hear you, but you know, and that's how you are like when you're like that. So why bring him up there? You know, I guess you didn't really know what direction it was gonna go in, but you already knew what state what state he was in. So like you could just have to imagine that it's not gonna go well. And yeah, I think that was bad. And you know, like you said, it's exploitation. It was bad to see that. You know, kind of sad actually. You know, to have, you know, who, you know, once you find out that they're, you know, friends or associates, have him come up there and embarrass himself pretty much. And then when he got off, it reminded me of some movie, man. Like I don't know if it was like Five Heartbeats when he came out with the, you know, remember back in, you know, 1975, you know, when I had it, you know, remember we sung that chain, you know what I'm saying? And they was like, here, Eddie, like, and gave him some money, like, here, man, take care of yourself. Like that's what it looked like to me. You know what I'm saying? I could be off, you know what I'm saying? I could be wrong, but that's what it looked like to me.
You got a point. Yeah. That's definitely what that looked like. Like, hey man, here you go, man. Appreciate it. You know what I'm saying? And it's unfortunate, you know. He probably know he has an issue, so he probably invited him on, you know, to kind of help him out, you know. Or like you said, he just invited. He said it out of his mouth. He invited him, you know, just for laughs. He just wanted to get some views off of him. That's what he said.
Yeah.
So if that's what it is, you know, I'm not rocking with that.
Yeah, it's kind of whack.
Yeah.
Kind of whack.
Ain't no kinda, it is whack.
It is whack. Okay.
Yeah.
It's whack.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. So we'll see what else happens, what comes from that. Let me see. What are we doing here? Oh, there we go. So man, we hearing about people getting canceled, you know, and one of the more I don't say prominent, but one of those that has been out there in the media more recently has been Jimmy Kimmel. So we'll see what Fox has to say about that.
All right, welcome back and live now. I'm Austin Westfall. We continue to follow the developing situation about Jimmy Kimmel Live. Of course, we've continued to follow the ever-evolving landscape of late-night television. We heard earlier this year that Stephen Colbert's Late Show would be canceled next year, and now we're hearing that ABC has pulled Jimmy Kimmel Live off the air, a live look at Hollywood Boulevard. Just outside, it looks like, where the show is taped. We've been seeing protesters outside of Kimmel's studio all day, basically. We saw them out there last night as well. For those who have visited Hollywood Boulevard, who have seen a taping of the show, this is the area where you do line up outside. And all indicators seem to say that there was an episode of Jimmy Kimmel Live planned on Wednesday before the network decided to pull the show off the airwaves. We'll continue to watch these live vantage points outside on Hollywood Boulevard. First, before we do a little bit more of this coverage, let's get a little bit of an update from Ashley Dvorkin. She has been tracking this story. Specifically, she looks at how Hollywood is reacting to all of this. Here's Ashley.
Sorry to interrupt, but this is important. The shooter who murdered my sweet little Daniel brought a highly lethal weapon with him.
What the heck?
Hollywood stars reacted quickly to news Jimmy Kimmel Live was suspended, including Ben Stiller, who posted on X, "This isn't right," among others sharing their thoughts on social media. In a video, Wanda Sykes said she was supposed to be a guest with Kimmel. And speaking of President Trump, said he ended freedom of speech within his first year. Jamie Lee Curtis posted a Rolling Stone cover with Kimmel quoted as saying, "I don't think anybody should be canceled." Henry Winkler shared praise for Kimmel, saying his humor, his insights are important to keep showing us who we are, and he is a most wonderful fellow. Similarly, Christy Brinkley, along with a photo of several late-night hosts, noted the laughter they provide us is as important as the air we breathe. She added, "We must protect their and our First Amendment rights." Jean Smart wrote she's horrified at the cancellation, adding what Jimmy said was free speech, not hate speech, adding people seem to only want to protect free speech when it suits their agenda, while Mark Maron called the suspension government censorship and urged people to speak out, be peaceful, be urgent. NASCAR star Danica Patrick, however, had a headline of the cancellation on her Instagram story and wrote, "Human decency is coming back." Hollywood unions issued statements, including the Screen Actors Guild. SAG-AFTRA condemned the suspension and said our society depends on freedom of expression. Suppression of free speech and retaliation for speaking out on significant issues of public concern run counter to the fundamental rights.
All right, I'll stop right there. So, let's see. So, and I know we, kind of talked about some stuff relating to, Charlie, and he actually talked about it on his show as well. And as Fox said that there's a lot of people who are outraged and, like this shouldn't have happened, and it's censorship and First Amendment. It's a First Amendment thing. His rights were taken away. But if you look at it, let's see here. From information that I gathered, broadcasters Nexstar and Sinclair, which own numerous ABC affiliate stations, both announced they would stop airing Kimmel's show. Both companies cited Kimmel's problematic and offensive comments. Let's see. Some observers believe that the affiliate companies' actions may have been influenced by their own financial interests. So it sounds like that his statements, they feel, was messing with the bottom line. And I was looking for more detail, like how the show was doing. Let me see. I did a Google search. Were the ratings for Jimmy Kimmel down? It says yes. Ratings for Jimmy Kimmel Live was have significantly declined over the past decade, with data showing a 72% drop in the critical 25 to 54-year-old demographic, and a 37% decrease total nightly views between those years, or 2020, or so over the 10-year period. This decline reflects broader trends in late night television, with many shows experiencing similar viewership erosion. So what does that mean? It looks like that he gave them the opportunity to cut him out because viewership is all the way down, already down. Like, they don't make money off of feelings. They don't make money off. I mean, I will say they don't make money off of looks, but I mean, a look could get you money. But viewerships are down, and then I don't know how true this is, but I'm sure some stations or some companies said, like, hey, like, tread lightly, during this particular situation, and they try to make it say like that it was political. But if my boss says, guess what, Marco, like, you have this job, but there's certain things that we can't do or we can't say, guess what? I mean, you could look at it as censorship, but like, if I'm affecting the bottom line of that company, they have the right to let me go. Now, I could fight for my First Amendment, rights outside of the company, but there's certain guidelines and things like that that we follow as a employee. There's certain companies that say, guess what? You can't post certain things on your own social media, or they have the right to let you go. Guess what? I mean, you may be able to fight that, but if it's in the contract that you signed, it's gonna be kind of hard for you to, I mean, you may be able to find a loophole, but I think this is something that affected the money, and he messed with the money, and they, he kind of gave them out. I think he was making like $16 million a year also. Like, I'll be Jimmy Kimmel for a year.
I'll be your Huckleberry.
So
I'll be your Huckleberry.
Oh man. I don't know if I want to do it now. But yeah, what do you have to say, Cuzzo, about the whole situation?
I mean, there's many layers to it, I think. We can certainly say viewership was down, which is true. We could say, violating free speech. In a way, it could be true, but anytime you're working for a company, regardless if it's on TV or not, you signed a contract, and from you signing that contract, they also give you, rules, guidelines, code of conduct, policies and procedures, all those things that give you, when you sign on a dotted line and you are employed, by a particular company or whatever you're working for. It could be McDonald's, it could be Burger King, you could be, working at any of these places and you bring in Taco Bell in here. It's like, man, you can't do that, And so I use that example to say, you have to be careful with, language that you use, because it can be looked at as insubordination. It can be looked at, it could be hate speech in some way. There's there's a lot of different ways, you could manipulate words and then making it seem as though you were doing something, against, policy. And like you said, because viewership was down, he might have gave him an out. Because most of the time when you have these type of shows, you have writers. You have like 16, sometimes 20 writers on the show. So whose bright idea was it to you say, okay, we're going to come up with this and you're going to say this? Because 9 times out of 10, these talking heads don't like to rock the boat. They don't like to go against the grain. Of course, they have some ideals, they have their own personal thought processes that they want to get out there, because this is their brand, this is their identity as well. But they're under a conglomerate. Yes, your name is on the show, but you're still doing things, based on this criteria or because we have this backing. So if you lean too far to the left or you lean too far to the right, you're going to fall out of this chair, or you're going to fall off of this podium, that you're standing on. So, that could be something that we could look at as well. And, I'm hearing the chatter on the social media sites and on air and, oh, this is free speech, or, oh, everybody said what they wanted to say when it was George Floyd, the one getting killed. Everybody could have said whatever they wanted to say and nobody got fired behind that. That's true. But like I say, I tell people all the time, and you said it already, like, is this messing with your bottom line or does this help your bottom line? So we have to also understand that part as well. So people that are playing these games, they have to know who they're playing with.
Well, one thing is that when you play a game, you if you don't know the rules, it's hard to effectively win the game. You know what I
Right,
mean?
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's like if you're playing the game, it's like, okay, if I'm playing to lose, then I already know the rules. So if I say this, I know I could be out of here. But you don't care because you want to remove yourself from this space and place, and I want to get on to something else to where I have more control. And you can see it with all these sports commentators too. They used to be on the air, now they're off the air, so everybody has a podcast. Acho is the most recent one I can come up with. I see he has his own podcast now.
So who's that?
Acho, Emmanuel Acho. Yeah, he used to play football for the University of Texas. I think he played, for, I want to say, was it Philadelphia? Don't quote me on that. But, very articulate individual, very cerebral. And, once you are taken from the spotlight, then you are on your own merits in terms of how you move forward and feed yourself, Before you were given this opportunity, you were giving a lot of, for lack of a better terms, leeway, or rope to kind of pull yourself up, and then it's kind of like once they cut that, then you fall down, then you got to figure it out from that point, So I'm saying And as you said, you have to know what game that you're playing and who set the game up. You know, who is now telling you, like, we're not playing that game that way anymore. Now you're going to play it this way. Well, how you change the rules? And this is the rules that we set up in the beginning. Do you want to do it or not? No. Okay, we'll figure out somebody else that wants to do it.
What kind of Uno are we playing?
Exactly. We playing that new Super Uno, where it's like, what is all these new cards? I ain't played this Uno before. Like, we had that new Uno at the house. It's crazy. But I don't know. Like I say, I don't look at things like this from one direction because I know how entertainment works. You know, I know how, politics work. There's many layers and there's many levels. There's a way that they want you to see it from one side or the other, and there's a way that you kind of step back and look at it for what it is in a wide view, or you can jump to one side and look at it from that side and look at it from that lens, or you can jump to the other side and look at it through that lens. So if you just kind of encompass everything and see what it is for what it is, then you're able to come up with your own opinion. You're able to come up with your own thought process. And that's what most don't like, because you are in that instance, you're creatively thinking about what's happening or what's being done. And you're able to ask more thoughtful questions. You're able to ask more creative questions because you want to get to the root cause of what's happening or why are we doing this. And a lot of times out of 10, they don't want to answer those questions. Do you want to do it or not? Well, we're doing this because of that. They give you something that's substanceless or shallow. That doesn't answer my question, So all that to say, it's unfortunate, but that's part of the game. And it doesn't matter what happened or this isn't happening with us or because of us. It's just is what it is. You just have to look at it through that lens and kind of come up with your own, determination as to how you want to be affected or feel about it. And to me personally, I can't be affected or feel any way about it because I don't know him personally. I didn't watch the show.
Right.
I'm not personally a fan, so it doesn't really affect me in that way. But I can kind of see how if that happens to anybody that we know, which it kind of did back in the day, Arsenio Hall, I'll say it. He had a great show.
Yeah.
He had a great show. He was bringing some powerful guests on there, some powerful people. They were saying some things, and then it got to a climactic place to where it's like, yeah, we can't have this on air anymore because this is starting to get too powerful. You guys are starting to feel like you can do more than we want you to see yourselves doing, in this space and place. So
things that make you say,
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you know what too? I just wanted to, maybe it could be a question or maybe it's a statement, but so you have censorship, which, well, I don't know. I look at like some of it, look at it differently because like I know at some time on the, when, maybe 5 years ago, people were getting their platform taken away because they were talking about the jab, and that's what you had to call it, to get around it. But if you brought up, about that shot, people were getting their platform taken away. I know Trump got he got totally his account taken away off of X before. And then you have, people trying to compare that to, a job, like you kind of ran down, like, there's certain requirements, there's certain a contract that you sign and things like that. Are they really the same? I mean, I guess you could clump them together, but they're really not the same. And people have to realize that they're not really the same. Guess what? You could do whatever you want, when it's yours, in some cases, but if you upload that thing to, somewhere, that thing could get taken away, and I think that is the problem, that people were we're talking about, but it's not the. I don't think they could be looked at as the same, but I don't think the two are quite the same. But I'll save that because I know it could be more detailed as given with that. But I know we have some other topics that we want to cover. Where you want to go next? Because we got Mississippi, and then we got David. We got David in Hollywood. You muted.
I said, both of them are kind of sad, but
Yeah. Okay.
Right.
All right, we'll go with David, and then we'll try to get to. We'll go with that one. Let's see.
The FBI and tell us this morning that they can only say so much, but are trying to make clear to the public that the tragic death of Delta State University student DeMartravion Reed did not involve any foul play. Trey, as he's known, is the young black man who was found hanging from a campus tree on Monday morning.
We recognize that this is not only about facts. It's about emotions and it's about feelings. And the way this loss and how it was discovered affects people's lives.
Reed's family is having trouble believing authorities, saying that he was happy and excited about college. They're demanding to see video of his final moments that police say they have.
There's video out there, and we can't speak to that at this moment. It's still an ongoing investigation.
According to an early report from the county coroner, the student didn't suffer any lacerations, contusions, compound fractures, broken bones, or injuries consistent with an assault. Lawyers for the family are now calling for an independent autopsy and a more thorough investigation, saying that Trey's family deserves answers they can trust. We cannot accept rushed conclusions when the stakes are this high. Many students and faculty don't know what to think. Campuses like this one have been caught in the cultural crossfire with bomb threats and false reports of active shooters.
I can say that my heartbreak is comprehensive. This institution should not be associated with hate or hate crimes. If people knew this place, they look at it and say, wouldn't it be better if America was more like Delta State University?
There is great public interest in this case, especially on social media. We expect a more complete autopsy by the end of this week. Michael?
Yeah, we sure hope so, Steve. Thank you for that.
Guys, I just found out from my dad that I need to tune up.
Don't tune up nothing.
Was that Michael Strahan?
Oh man. So this
wow.
This is very, very unfortunate. From things, like this is stuff that you see in the movies, that happened, years and years ago. Things that actually didn't you didn't hear about happening in our lifetime. And I think we've heard about far too many of these instances, already. I think this is like the maybe second or third one that I personally have heard of in like less than a year. And people are still trying to figure out what actually happened. From what they said, they have more video, and we'll have to see what that video shows. But there was a young man who they said they showed a video of him buying the rope from a store. This happened probably like a year or so, maybe like a year or less. Maybe it was more than a year ago. And then there was another instance, more recently of something like this happening. But especially like in the South and Cleveland. I was trying to look up where Cleveland, Mississippi is, but I know they call like that area like the Delta. Yeah, like it's like a group of cities, and they call it the Delta. Let me see what areas are considered. So okay, so yeah, it's Greenville, Clarksdale, Cleveland, which I think the school is in Cleveland, Greenwood, Indianola, and Yazoo City, which serves as the gateway to the Delta. So these 14 counties. Yeah. So yeah, man, it's unfortunate. You know, like I said, this is something that like I said, happened in the past, and you know, we've seen far too many of those recently. You know, I mean, I don't know. I don't really have a whole lot to kind of like, you know, pull from. You know, I didn't get an opportunity to like fully research this honestly. You know, but like to hear about something like this, you know, happening in today's day, and not to really know what happened. You know, I know universities that have like security and they have cameras everywhere. You know, for them not to be able to like kind of narrow down what happened or to see what actually happened in this instance is, you know, I don't understand that. But whatever this video that they said they may have, hopefully, you know, it kind of, you know, sheds a light on certain things because people are up in arms, and you know, this could become it's an act that has been known to be racially motivated in the past, and if it, I hope it's not, but people like to turn things racial really quick. So hopefully they find out more detail as to what happened, and hopefully this is not. I mean, either way, you know, somebody has lost his life, and forgive me, but prayers, you know, to the family who lost a loved one. And you know, I think it's important that they, you know, do their due diligence and try to figure out, you know, what happened as soon as possible, especially, you know, more so for the family, so they could, you know, move on and move forward, with mourning this young man. Um, you know what? I was on campus the other day, and they had like this kind of tent set up, and it was for like mental health. And then I've heard, you know, about kids, you know, being stressed out so much in school, and I guess in their life that, you know, they've, you know, taken their lives before. Like I've like heard that, you know, people jumping off of things and all kind of other stuff going on. So I don't know if that was the case, if, you know, but I would say if you guys are, you know, don't have feel like you don't have anybody to talk to, like try to find somebody, like share, you know, what's going on, you know, because it's important. Mental health is very important. And, you know, like, and then for the people on the outside who are doing good, like, I mean, like saying hello, you know, sometimes it's a good thing. You never know what a hello may do for some people, you know, and you don't never know what type of conversations or who you may be able to help by just opening up with a hello. But I'll you know, uh, yield, and I'll let you share.
Yeah. The information is unfortunate, and I definitely hope that the family gets restitution. They get whatever they need to kind of ease, and heal this tragic way of finding out, your family member passed away. So in that, I can only speak to, that portion of it, because the other stuff, it matters, but not in the grand scheme of things, because at this point in time, we only have the control to move forward and look for answers, and hopefully they get the answers that's needed, which means somebody, can be brought to justice if there was anybody involved, And hopefully this is not one of those things that goes unsolved. So I'll say that, and I'll yield.
Okay. All right, we're gonna move on to the last topic. There was a decomposed body, and this is actually something that's been, developing over the last couple weeks. There was a decomposed body found in a Tesla, and let's see what they have to say. Let's see what ton of detail we found out. Let's see.
After a body was found tonight, more than a week after a body was found inside an impounded Tesla registered to the singer who goes by the stage name David, Los Angeles investigators identifying the remains as 15-year-old Celeste Rivas, the same girl who was reported missing last year, according to the Riverside County Sheriff's Office. Police first found the teen's decomposed body on September 8th after being called to a Hollywood tow yard because of a foul odor coming from the Tesla, which was impounded after a person reported the car abandoned. Law enforcement sources say the remains were not intact, and according to the medical examiner, it appeared the girl, who is described as having wavy black hair and weighing about 71 pounds, had been dead inside the Tesla for an extended period of time. The singer David, whose real name is David Anthony Burke, rose to fame on TikTok and is currently on tour. A spokesperson for the artist did not respond to NBC News' request for comment today, but last week said the 20-year-old was fully cooperating with the authorities. The LAPD is not calling the death criminal, saying in a statement that at this time, the agency does not have a crime classification from the coroner as to the mode or manner of death. Thus, we do not have any suspect information at this time. And right now, police have not said if they believe the singer David knew or ever had contact with the victim. We are just learning that his show scheduled for tonight in Seattle has now been canceled.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay.
What you think?
It's weird, man. It's one of those weird cases, you know. There's so many ways this case could go. There's so many ways it could split. It can take years to unfold. It can take days. It can take months, you know. As I said before in the last one, it's unfortunate, you know. Prayers and thoughts go out to the family that they get, man, that's crazy. They get some type of this process for them is going to be a long one. Because one hand, you know, you no longer have, you know, that individual in your family, what you thought they probably was out there on the road. And I heard she was 14, by the way.
Well, she was 13 when I think when she initially ran away, and they brought her back, and then she left again. So she was like a runaway. So she, like, from what the reports are, she kind of like ran away often.
Okay. But it still doesn't denote the fact that, you know, she lost her life. So for whatever reason that she was running away, you know, unfortunately, you know, she's not going to be able to make it back. So
right.
That's the unfortunate part. How you?
Yeah, there's a couple things that you know, that I recently heard about this. So they both have a similar tattoo on their fingers that says "shh." The mother said that she knew she had a boyfriend, and his name was David. And so I'm like, bro, like, yeah. 13, and then I guess at the time, if they were dealing with each other, he was 18. Yeah, that's kind of bothersome. 20, 15, you know, in some cultures that's acceptable, you know, hence quinceañera, you know, but You know what's the saying? If you're in Rome, do what the Romans do.
When in Rome.
When in Rome, yeah. When in Rome, do what the Romans do. So you're not in a country that deems that as acceptable. And so it's kind of weird that I get they're trying to figure out long term, I'm sorry, like what actually happened to her, why she lost her life. Like why is this dude dealing with that's something that popped up in my head too, along with a lot of other thoughts, like why is this dude dealing with the underage girl? And guess what? Don't get me wrong, I was 19 and I was dating a senior. She just so happened her birthday wasn't in, until September. So she turned 18 in September, right when I was 19. Okay. Like, sue me. You know what I'm saying? Don't really sue me. I don't get nothing anyway. But 20 and 15, bro. Like that means she's like what, 9th grade?
9th or 10th grade, yeah. 10th grade.
Like you know what? Thinking back when we were in school, I don't know if this was the case for, if you saw this, but I guess that's the norm, right? We used to have the guys that, that had cars, that was grown men, that had jobs and everything, that would be picking, the high school girls up from school.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Like how can I compete? How can I compete with that? So I guess this is, normal. But you never know, and this is just speculation, what type of stuff, if they were dealing with each other, what he had her around and what he was involved in. We hear about certain things in that particular, avenue of things, what type of stuff goes on and what type of stuff could go on. And so this whole thing could go so many different ways, we really don't know until they, come up with more detail, more information. But there's a number of things that I thought about actually from looking at this that, there were a lot of different scenarios that could have happened. And, one thing is unfortunate that, she lost her life, again, prayers to the family. Like, she didn't even have the opportunity to, and it sounds like she was going through some things because she was running away. I don't know if it was family related or whatever else it was, but she didn't really get the opportunity to find herself, to maybe, make a 180 and, whatever, like travel, go after her dreams, graduate from school, get married. Like those are things that unfortunately, like now that she, is gone, she, won't ever have the opportunity to do those things. And that's unfortunate. But somebody out there knows what happened. Hopefully they're able to find out who that is. But this whole thing definitely looks suspicious. It could be, like I said, it could be a number of different things that happened. It was his vehicle, vehicle is registered to him, but that doesn't necessarily mean it was him. But I will tell you this, that age gap is a little suspect. Now, if he was like 25 and 20, maybe that's a little different, a little different. But for some reason, it just don't add up to me, and it's not legal. That's why. that is why it's not legal. So we'll see what happens. We see what else unfolds, and yeah, we'll just keep an eye on it and see what else happens throughout the next few weeks. But that's all we have for you this week. Cuzzo, any closing remarks?
Any closing
Final
remarks?
thoughts.
Final thoughts. Just understand, like these next coming months, you know, it can make or break a lot of people. And, you know, I want people to understand that you should be looking and seeking, you know, ways and means on how to broaden your perspective on life as you currently live it. And then just understand that, you know, what's been given can be taken, you know. So we have to understand that we should always be looking for ways to develop ourselves, develop our relationships, develop our you know, our families in terms of them, you know, understanding and developing, you know, through this process that we're going to, because it's definitely making a shift. They're definitely making changes in terms of, you know, what we're used to seeing, what we're used to doing, you know, in life. So I say that for people not to be anxious, you know, and surprised, you know, when things go differently. Just understand that, you know, where you're going and where you could be is determined based on, you know, your thought process. So irregardless of, you know, what's happening around you, just don't allow it to, you know, seep into you, which is the negative, you know, which is the terrible, you know, the tragic, the trauma, you know, all that is entertainment, you know, for people to see, feel, you know, and allow that to kind of somehow take space and place in their life. So don't allow that to happen. You know, keep moving forward, keep focusing on things that's going to allow you to be smarter, you know, based on what you see happening to people that you once admired, and, you know, and they're now coming through that. So don't seek to make entertainment from that, but learn from that, you know, and offering people solutions, you know, coming out of that, you know. So there's plenty of things that can entertain us around here, and we allow that to entertain us. But when it comes to your life, when it comes to learning, when it comes to family, you know, don't let that be the ground or the place that you know, give way or give credence to, you know, entertainment, because that's where you lose your morals, you lose your foundation and base, you know. So I'll say from that, have a good one, and appreciate you, Cuzzo, doing things on the back end as always, making it happen, keeping it stacking. We on 38, and we're gonna keep it pushing.
Yes, sir. Yeah, man. Yeah. I guess I'll keep it short. In all things, get understanding. And also, I'll say this quickly. Learn to be objective about things. Don't just take a side because that's a side you always used to take. And sometimes that side might be wrong. You don't agree with everybody you come in contact with all the time, 100% of the time. So, like, maybe, you know, you could apply that to other things in life. That is all. I don't know if you heard this song, cause though LaRussell, I'm gonna play this on the way out.
Time to go it up, 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 up. So we getting down. Yeah. She want a nigga from the coast. I'm here to serve. A fly nigga with a pocket full of birds. My line get to chirping. Baby, I'm working to show you how to hustle. Can't buy you no Birkin. I'm up in the morning. Who want the worm? I'm smoother than the 9-lady gators with the perm. Ain't none of my concern. You smoke, roll it up and let it burn. The West Coast back is our turn. Now we going up, 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 yeah. Now we getting down, down. Hey, where you from? We throw it up, up, up. Yeah. And waving all around. Let's go. Let's go. Big Uncle Montel Russell. We cooking
That's how we
We outta here.
hustle. Shout out to Big Nip. Now let's go. Let's ride.